thousands of Zimbabwean nationals continue to seek some kind of entry into South Africa by all means necessary. Zimbabwe has instituted a hard lockdown to improve movement and trade for at least 31 days. To protect livelihoods and escape the economic meltdown, scores of people have tried to sort of arrive at the Beitbridge border post to get entry into the country. But a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in Zimbabwe and another one here at home from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. has exacerbated challenges that people are actually facing at this border post. People have also had to queue for up to 3 days to have their documents processed. Newzroom Afrika's Pilani Bakhari has been watching this story quite closely for us and joins us now live once again from the Beitbridge border post. Pilani, day 3 and counting for you, watching this story for us. We've seen really heart-wrenching recollections about the plight that many people are facing whilst they're there. It appears the gloomy conditions are being exacerbated today by the clouds there and just how miserable the situation appears. Give us a sense of what you're seeing now.
And last night before we left here, we were given access into the border post, and what we've seen there was a total clear. The scores of people that we've seen earlier on the day were no more there. And what we do understand as Newzroom Afrika is that they were pushed back into Zimbabwe. The thousands of people who were queuing within the South African border post were pushed back into Zimbabwe, so that I imagine myself that it is making it now a Zimbabwean problem, a Zimbabwean humanitarian problem at their side of the border, and will only be allowed into South Africa, of course, once they have been screened, and of course, if they have in hand a valid COVID-19 test. Once they get into South Africa, they are screened once more, and at the same time, they're also going to be retested should their tests that they have in the hand be older than 48 hours old, and that has been the case. We do know that it's a rapid testing. So in about 2 hours at most, they do get their results back. So this particular morning, we are anticipating that around 6:45 will be allowed back into the border post, so that we can be able to assess the progress that was made since yesterday and whether there have been people that were processed. We do understand, however, that the last person would have been processed around 9 o'clock in the evening yesterday, when the curfew here back in South Africa begins. And however, on the other side of the border, around 6 o'clock in the evening, that should have been the last person who was allowed to cross the border. And that in itself gives us a little bit of a figure that thousands are still gathered within the Beitbridge border post within the Zimbabwe side and are being slowly let into South Africa, so that there is social distancing adhered to, and at the same time that only a certain number of people could be allowed inside, so that they can allow Home Affairs officials and border immigration to kind of assist in the processes, but they must not be in their thousands as we've seen earlier, Ayanda.
Yeah, and now that we're here, Pilani, it might be worth taking a step back. How would you describe the overwhelming mood or sentiment from many travelers yesterday? How would you encapsulate that sentiment?
Desperate. I think that word comes to mind the moment you start thinking about what we've seen. People are desperate to come back into South Africa, and others to gain first-time entry into South Africa, because they are having challenges of an possible economic meltdown within their own country. The hard lockdown is going to be exacerbating harsh realities, that they have to go all the way out of their way to gain access for petrol, because we've seen people coming to cross the border in order just to get petrol and go back into Zimbabwe. They also have to get issues around getting food, which is not as expensive as here in Messina as the border post. So we do know that on a day-to-day basis, there were people who were coming into South Africa to go buy their groceries at the nearby Messina shopping mall. So now their desperation is the challenge here, because they want to be able to buy essentials without the queues that they have to wait for about 3 days here at the border post. And at the same time, trade back home in Zimbabwe is not allowed. Informal trade, that is, it is not allowed, and only essential services are allowed to trade between 8 and 3 p.m. Of course, livelihoods now, because being put on the harsh line. that they will not be able to provide for their families and put bread on the table if no informal trading is allowed for at least the next 30 days. So desperation is the word that comes to mind when we see the thousands gathered within the Zimbabwe border post trying to gain entry into South Africa, and as well as making use of the Limpopo River through canoes and as well as swimming. We've seen how dangerous that is, and we've seen visuals here in Newzroom Afrika where desperate nationals are trying to get entry into South Africa by all means necessary. Ayanda?
Yeah, one can only hope that the situation will improve rather sooner than later. Let me thank you for now, Pilani Pakhadia, our reporter live to us there from Limpopo at the Beitbridge border post.